Good morning. How is everyone enjoying this lovely weather? Right? A big switch up from last week, though. I'm kind of getting whiplash. It looks like we do have a very full house today. So we'll try to find maybe a couple more seats if needed, but looks like we're pretty much all set. So I do just want to let you know this is not to amplify my voice. This is a microphone for the lovely TK and CB who are in the back doing video so that we can have this recorded and put on our YouTube and our website for later viewing. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, do my little ramble, and then I will give it off to Charlie. So I want to introduce myself for those of you that don't know me. My name is Hannah. I am the Outreach and Engagement Manager here at CFRW. So I want to share a little bit of past information that we've got going on at the organization. So Dana, our Executive Director, attended the Environmental Management Commission meetings earlier this meeting, as well as for our January 2nd Saturday cleanup, we had 27 community members join us. They removed over 400 pounds of litter from the area that drains directly to the Cape Fear River. Yes. It was a very cold morning. And Terry, how many fingers do you have? Yeah. As long as we still had 10 fingers, we were good. Savannah, Rob, and one of our volunteers, Ryan, maintained our passive litter collection devices called the Trash Out Junior and Garbage Gobblers. They removed 161 pieces of litter from those, and of that, over 94% was a type of plastic. Kemp and Rob attended a 2-day stream delineation training with Waterkeeper Carolina. And then as well, lastly, Savannah and myself presented Enviroscapes for 181 students at Trask and Williston Middle Schools. So yeah, that's what we've got going on. Now, as far as in upcoming news, for some of you, before I changed it over, you might have seen, we have a Burnt Mill Creek special events day next Saturday. So we will be doing our regular second Saturday cleanup, which will be in Burnt Mill Creek, but then we will also be doing a tree planting. So the tree planting is part of an environmental enhancement grant we received from the State Attorney General's office. So it's a 3-year grant, and we are coming up on the end of it at the end of this year. So next weekend we will be planting over 100 trees along the creek bank. So if you're up for it, feel free to either join the cleanup or the tree planting, or just share it to friends, families, neighbors, children, grandchildren, all of that good stuff. See if we can get some people out to help us put the trees in. I also want to say that we have the selections for the Environmental Book Club, which is run by Valerie with Cape Fear's Going Green magazine, if you guys have seen that. They have their selections out for all of 2025 and January 2026. So there is a monthly book, so make sure to check that out as well. And I will say as well, we will be taking any donations for coffee pancakes. I know if you came at the very end, we were running low on pancakes. We tried to make sure everyone got some, but next time, try to get in maybe a few minutes earlier, and we'll make sure you get some pancakes. Okay, I will now introduce Charlie. So Charlie is the past president of the Cape Fear Audubon Society and co-chair of the Southeast Coastal Chapter of the North Carolina Native Plant Society. Charlie has lived most of his life in San Diego. He has a Bachelor of Science degree in electronics from San Diego State University, which is now, San Diego State College, which is now San Diego State University. His interest in nature began with camping trips to the nearby California desert, where he could find the kit fox, bighorn sheep, golden eagles, coyotes, cactus wrens, roadrunners, and his favorite, the burrowing owl. Many of his trips coincided with the bloomings of the plantings in the desert. He spent several years in the Washington, D.C. area where he was a congressional liaison for the National Reconnaissance Association, which is part of the CIA, noting the wildlife occupying Capitol Hill. Now residing in Wilmington for the last 24 years, he has expanded his interest in the native plants and their relationships with the environment and the necessity to have those natives to have a bird-friendly habitat. So I will now turn it over to Charley.
You must be here for the pancakes. You can't be possibly. There's one seat up here that I just vacated. And you can sit on Esther's lap. Thank you all. We're going to have a little fun in addition to talking about this. You can see, it's been up there for a while, so you can see the program mission statements of the two organizations, which I'm fond of. So let's go on here. Whoops, what did I do? This is a 7-year-old granddaughter we have, her name Penelope, and she, over the years, would come up with these little quizzes or puzzles, and they were kind of stupid, you know. They weren't very funny or whatever. But she came up with one. She's 7 now. I think it was about a year and maybe 2 years ago. She came up with one that was really funny. So I'm going to share that with you. Why did the chicken cross the playground? Anybody know the answer? So I really laughed at that one. And when she told it, she laughed. I got it on video. When she told it, she laughed so hard she bent over and bumped her head on the table. That was just about as funny as the joke. Oh, there's a quick summary of what she just read about, so I won't go into it too much. Back when I had a lot of hair, or a lot more hair, a lot of my view graphs are going to be very wordy, and the reason I do that, rather than me bullets and then talk about it, is that anybody is welcome to these slides. Therefore, you won't have to remember the bullets or what I said. It's on the view graph. It's on the slides. So that is why some of my view graphs are going to be very wordy, and I'll have to just sit there and wait while you read it. Anybody here that on my list? Is Roger here? No Roger. Valerie here? No Valerie. That was, if I look like I'm gushing right there, it's because I am. That's the first time I met Doug. When he was here back in 2011, I think we got him here. Wow. He's hard to hear his warble because it's encoded. Down at the bottom, a little humor. Obviously, it wasn't taken the other day. It was taken last summer, but one of my favorite plants is the red buckeye. This is my hook. If you like birds, and you want to keep them around, then you'll plant natives. That's why I talk about birds. Plus, I don't know as much about birds as CJ over there. Back when I did camping out in the desert, a couple of my favorite birds, Phenopepla, he looks like a black cardinal in my mind. He's a kind of neat bird. And the cactus wren, they're just amazing. If you've not seen them, they'll build their nest in and around a cactus. And I did see golden eagles out there, but not this one. This is from the internet. I saw them circling around I just lost my doodly bob here. Put it in my pocket. This was kind of amazing what birds will do. These hummers built the nest on that fan chain. And it's not as though there's nothing else to build on there. This is in the backyard of my friend in Tucson. It's just amazing. I'm going to talk more about this number at the bottom in a bit, but just a quickie. It's a lot of insects that these birds need. So we'll get into that more so. Okay. All energy comes from the sun. You probably know that, but you never thought about it. And it's that photosynthesis process that converts the light energy to sugars, simple sugars in the plant. The leaf, what happens in the leaf, you know all about that. So down at the bottom, go kiss a leaf, thank you, because without that process, we wouldn't have any life on Earth. And I got native plants there. If the plants are decreasing, the insects will decrease. All the food sources would decrease. Notice the people, we just keep going no matter what. And we're working on this. We're working on destroying all this. Okay, here's what I say. Here's one of my wordy ones, and I'll let you read it. It's a lot of bad news. Good news comes later. I used to have a lot of monarchs visit my front yard, and I think I saw 2 this last summer. I used to see dozens, so it's happening. It's sad. Okay, here's where I start a contest, and this is where CJ is not allowed to answer. Where's Hannah? Get up here, Hannah. Please, please. Okay. Now this is a tough job. You've got to keep track. Somebody's got to raise their hand. The first one to raise their hand and get the correct answer. And do you have a piece of paper to keep track, keep score? Because you're going to have to write the names down. Are you going to do it that way? Okay. Upper left, what kind of bird is that? Oh, you can't yell it out. You can't. That won't work.
You, sir.
Carolina Chickadee.
Got it.
Perfect. What's your name?
Tillman Herring.
I think you might get excluded here too. Okay, next one to the upper right.
Eastern bluebird. Eastern bluebird.
No, you go this one over here. What's your name?
Lauren.
Lauren. Okay, we got. After I devised this test, I thought this is going to be impossible to judge. Okay, lower left. Whoop, 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 whoop.
I know.
Who said it?
Gabriella.
Okay, lower right.
Put your hand down.
Painted bunting.
Lower right.
The other one, the yellowish one.
Lower right.
CJ, don't look at me.
Way back there.
Yellow Oriole?
Yeah, what kind of warbler? What kind of warbler? Yellow warbler. Nobody got that one. CJ, go ahead. You don't count him, but he got the answer. Okay, upper left. Who said that? Who said that? You said that right here? What's your name?
Jackie?
Jackie. We're going to end up with ties here, and I don't want to do about a tie. Upper right. Somebody raised their hand and said it. Over there. What's your name?
Rachel.
Rachel. Oh, whew. Somebody get two of them in a row so I can have a prize. Lower, damn it. Lower left.
Downy woodpecker.
So, how'd you know?
What's your name? Meg Ander. Could you move over a little closer? Yes.
Who said that? Raise your hand. They'll get that one.
What's your name?
Okay, we got 8-way tie or 16-way tie. I have to figure out something else. I always have this one here. I'm going to pick a date of those people that made the choices here, and the one whose birthday is closest to that is the winner. June the 1st.
I'm June 20.
She's the winner.
Yeah, next time I do a family feud style. That's what my Roger Shoe did in my class. He split us up into two. And
I don't remember a lot of getting up and moving.
That's cute. I love it. Thank you so much.
Now we. I was going to do this at. No, redheaded. Where'd it go? Yeah. Oop. There, I did it. Hit the wrong button. Turn it back on for me, would you? Okay, I hit the wrong. Big thumb. I was going to do this at the beginning, but I'll do it now. A little bit of pause. I'm the co-chair, so co means there's two of us. And the one that's joined me as a second co-chair here several months ago is right here in the front row, Dwayne Truscott, who knows 10 times more than I do about plants. I want to give him.
Hey, nice.
Thanks, Charlie. Even got my name on it. Thanks, Charlie.
Okay. Continue. Well, the answer is usually yes. You want these birds around, and this is where I get into the hook bit. We want to feed them birds, and 96% of our backyard birds feed their young insects. Why insects?
Protein.
Right? Why caterpillars?
Accessible.
Think about trying to stuff a cricket down a little baby's versus a nice soft caterpillar. Okay, here's another one of my wordy view graphs. Get down to the middle there when that was one of the pleasurable memories in my mind as we sat around the dining room table on one of the visits that Doug had been here. And before we took him to catch his airplane, we sat and asked him a bunch of questions. And one of the questions was that one there. And if you don't know who E.O. Wilson is, it's hard to read this down at the bottom. I'll read it. Regarded as one of the world's preeminent biologists and naturalists. Edward O. Wilson grew up in South Alabama and the Florida Panhandle, where he spent his boyhood exploring the region's forests and swamps, collecting snakes, butterflies, and ants. The latter would be his lifelong specialty. The author of more than 20 books, including the Pulitzer Prize winning The Ants and the Naturalist, as well as his first novel, anthill. So he was quite a person. Okay, now we get into those birds that you just saw up there, and the first one was based on information in Doug's Tallamy's book, and I think he's upgraded it. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. It's a lot of insects that chickadee had to go out and gather up for the young, and the rest of them I didn't have official data on it. I did know their fledging days, like bluebird 19 days. I did look that up. Cornell was a source for that. And I talked to ornithologists at UNCW, and I said, say, I know the number of days it takes to fledge. I don't know exactly how many birds are in the nest, but is it okay if I use this kind of the same statistic that I use for the chickadee? I can't find any information to tell me that scientifically. They said, yeah, that's a good enough assumption. So I got an ornithologist to bless my assumptions there. So when you do that, you come up with these 8 insects that fledge those birds. Let's continue on. Well, obviously, there's more than just those 8 birds in your backyard. And so what the heck? I'll just double that number for lack of anything else. And yeah, reasonable, since I'm only considering about 16 backyard birds. When, as you've seen the little birdies running around the yard and the mother chasing them down to feed them, so they still get some feeding as they're learning to get food on their own. So there's that number I showed earlier, 188,325 insects. That is one heck of a lot of insects for these little birds to gather up. They're not all trying to get them at the same time, because the nesting is not happening all at the same time, but spread over summertime or springtime span. That's still a lot of insects that they have to forage to find. Now we have somewhere around 100 species nesting in our area. Land birds, not the sea. I'm not counting the seabirds, the coastal birds. And that's just what I said. Not nest at the same time. And as an example, painted buntings are right near the coast. Indigo buntings pick up where the painted buntings stop, and they're more inland, so they're not competing for the same insects. You know this. All you have to do is drive down Market Street and see them mowing down all the trees. We're going to put in some more condos. What do we do? You pretty much know all of this. It's sort of intuitive, a lot of it. It's just like to hammer it home one more time. If you're not familiar with what an invasive plant is, I like the one offered by Wazowski in the American Gardener. Basically, I've seen all kinds of definitions. I like the simple one, a plant that occurs naturally in the place where it evolved.
That's a good picture.
What's that?
the kudzu on the tractor. It's
Oh, yeah, I like
we're
that.
not moving fast enough.
Yeah, he just stopped there to go to lunch, and look what happened. A lot of people don't realize English ivy is a invasive, or periwinkle. This is a good. I'm actually. I have a bunch of books in my car, and I forgot to bring them in as examples. This is one of the ones. You can go download this as a PDF also. I'm told by Doug, he says, birds don't just look for the insects, they look for insect damage. And that kind of makes sense, because you can see where there is insect been eating on this, and the bird says, aha. And his little bird brain mind says, aha, there must be something eating that, and I can eat that. I can eat what's eating it. So, and some of my examples are worse than what you'll really find out there, because I wanted to make sure I found some plants that were eaten. Normally, as Doug says, you stand back 10 feet and you can't tell that anything's been eaten at all. Aha. They don't touch that because it's not a native. They don't touch that darn thing because it's not a native. Look at that. I mean, I like a gardenia. I have one in my yard, but it's so well behaved. It stays right where it belongs. It doesn't do anything but bloom. Doesn't get bigger. If it ever dies, I'll replace it with a native, but yeah, that. I understand, told me that there is one caterpillar that does eat on the azalea, and I hope that one caterpillar is in landfill. Introducing Doug again. He was here not too long ago last year. Did you guys attend that talk? Yeah. Wasn't that good? He's a good guy. He's such a great guy. This is from his book. If you don't understand or know what the Lepidoptera is, that's the larva stage of the moth or butterfly, and they use that because it's a good way to compare all the plants. There's other things that will feed on or eat on or reside on those plants, but the Lepidoptera, the larva stage of the moth or butterfly, is a good gauge to compare them all together, to compare them all, because those are what the caterpillars are what feed the birds. Look at the goldenrod. It's really up there. We have how many species here in the area? 12 or 13, don't we?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Some not so good ones and some good ones.
Yeah, they were. One of the times Larry Mellenchamp was staying with me, and I had a whole bunch of them growing in my front yard. And he said, well, just pull them up. I said, no. I was surprised that he told me that.
Does that literature come from Doug's book?
Yeah, this is Doug's book also, Bringing Nature Home. We talked about the need for the raising the fledglings, but also we need to worry about our birds that are going to migrate or stick around here in the wintertime. So this is not anywhere near complete on plants that provide food, but it's just some of them. Do I have blueberries up there? Blueberries, blueberries a good one. A lot of people want to get out, well, not a lot of people, but some people want to get out and cut off the dead plants as soon as they quit blooming, but it's been known that the birds will get out there and harvest seeds after they've been all dry. Okay. My standard question on this, how many have heard of mycorrhiza fungus? Oh boy. I got 4 or 5 of them. I usually get 1 or 2. That's great. We're improving. Society is improving. The fungus down at the bottom here says will give water and nutrients to a plant, and in turn the plant will give some simple sugars to the fungus, because the simple sugars are created with the chlorophyll and the leaf process. The sun and the fungus underground doesn't have access to it, so they don't get it. If I show a picture of this book later on, that book, anybody read that book, Entangled Life? Isn't that fascinating? I mean, fungus is fascinating, except the one on my foot. Okay, here's something you can't read. We got to have one that you can't read, but I like this so much because it's so graphic as to showing how the mycorrhiza fungus is an underground communication mechanism, and I will do a little blow up of it here. So here's talks about it that forest ecologist talks about it, and a close up of I think I got a pointer here. Oh boy, I bet I pushed the wrong button. No, that's the plant root, and the mycorrhiza is hugging it and giving it nutrients. And sometimes the older tree will call it the mother tree or the hub tree, can pass nutrients to a lower, smaller tree that's not getting the sunlight. So it's pretty phenomenal apparatus, if you want to call it that. There's the Entangled Life picture of the book. It's done a lot of stuff with writing, more than just mycorrhiza fungus. Some of the other things that they talk about the fungus is great. I bet CJ's probably even read it. You read it? Read it?
That's on my list. I have a long reading list.
I'm sure you do.
That's the one I'm going to try to get.
If that were on Jeopardy, that would be up there on there, say, life form underground that transports nutrients plants. So the answer would be, what is mycorrhiza fungus? I'd like to see that on Jeopardy. Going back a few years, this is when I had a bunch of monarchs. I think this is 3 or 4 years ago. I think there's 7 or 8 monarchs, so you can find them all in there. That's one hard to see, but there's 1, 2, 3. There's a lot of them. Another question. CJ, you're not allowed to answer this one either. Male or female? Okay, at you 50-50 chance on getting it. Why is it a why is it a male?
It has the dot.
You got it. So I guess in this day and age, if you take off your dots butterfly, you can become a female. It's not as, I kind of like this one almost as much as the monarch, but they're a pretty butterfly. This is some of the stuff from Doug's book, Doug's presentations. Birds want to eat caterpillars, but they don't want to be eaten for some reason. And I think one of the best mechanisms is the monarch itself. Milkweed contains gluconic, whatever, bad substances that are poisonous, toxic. And so they can eat it, and if the bird eats the caterpillar or the butterfly, it's fatal. So birds will kind of avoid eating a caterpillar. That's a monarch caterpillar. And nature, the good old viceroy through nature, knows that, and so guess what? He looks like a monarch, so he won't be eaten either. So that's nature, or his. You can't say he did it deliberately, but over evolution, that's what happened with the viceroy. And I think they feed on willow or something. They're totally, they are edible. Just don't look like it. And if you don't have a yard, you can still do something like this person did. And you can do stuff on your deck. This bottom was not on my deck, but I did have this growing on my deck also. The lower right, or the picture on the right, do you see anything different in that picture?
What, the spider?
Yep.
Where'd you get the Indian pink?
I have it growing in my yard as well as somebody sent me, though, as a plant of the month, one of them. Anyway, there's a spider right here. When I took that picture, I didn't know it because it just didn't show up. But when I showed it to Doug, Doug said, "Oh," and he named the insect that the spider has in its mouth. You know, he's an entomologist, so not surprised. So anyway, if you don't have a yard, plant on your deck. These are not on my deck, but these are certainly deckable plants. This is some handouts, and they're up here. You can take, what are there, 5 different, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sheets, so help yourself to that. There's this here. If you can't afford to have a landscape person come to your yard, this sort of is a landscape cheater. Tells you, for instance, I just opened it up at random. You want to screen with trees? It gives you ideas on that. You want to screen high and low? That. You want to do something for birds? It's there. Bird-friendly screen. You still need to know about your soil. You know, you can take your soil sample to the arboretum and have it analyzed. You need to look at how the water flows. There's other stuff that landscape designers do that you will have to do, but that can help you out. Like I say, these books are in my car. I'll bring them in quickly and set them out here. This is Larry's book. I think is the best book around. Paul's book is one of the unique things about Paul's book is the first 9 chapters describe all of our ecosystems along the coast, which is, I couldn't put it down as reading about it, all the ins and outs of the our coast, our coastal ecology. Marge is going to come up here and say something about this book. She's actually got a box of the books over there.
That's the February selection for the book.
Is it? Oh, good. Unfortunately, I had a bunch of these copies on the right. I don't have any more. I do have a zillion of this one. But never fear, if you go to that website, and this is not up to date, I imagine they've added to it. You go to that website at the top, go NCSU, you can PDF copies of pretty much everything I've talked about. That it's from the Coastal Landscapes Initiative, not the Native Plant Society. These are from the Native Plant Society. Many of you probably have these. Any questions? Yes.
This isn't a question, but my battery is dead. If anybody, when they're leaving, has jumper cables, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
CJ.
Have you ever heard of what is it, Homegrown National Park, that Ducktown? I signed up for that website.
Good,
It
yeah.
has county level recommendations for plants, like down to your zip code.
Yeah, I
So-
didn't know that. I mean,
So check
I've
out-
signed up.
It's Homegrown
National Park. I should have put it on there, but yeah,
It's you mentioned it a lot in his new book.
yeah.
And Charlie, can I make a comment?
Yes.
Tony and I are new to the area, and we live in Carolina Beach. And because of Charlie bringing Doug Tallamy down, and we were going to build on this 1/4 acre that we bought, but we've opted to not do that now. So we are going to put bins in our backyard, and we are going to fill them with natives. We just want to welcome anyone who doesn't have a place to plant. Come adopt a bin when you go to the beach. Feel free, Charlie has offered some of his plants to us, take them, put them in a bin, so feel free, help us fill our bins.
Do you have an HOA?
We do not have an HOA.